On today's edition of The Tenant Perspective, we'll be looking at creative office space in downtown Las Vegas. We're at the Johnny Carson building on the corner of Carson and 6th. And shortly we'll be joined by the architect behind the transformation of this former hotel into creative office space and retail. Coming up next, Craig Palacios from Bunnyfish Studios. Located at the corner of Carson Avenue and 6th Street, the Johnny Carson Hotel was built in 1955 and comprised of 55 hotel rooms. Downtown Project purchased the building in 2012 and is transforming it into a vibrant home for uses including celebrity chef Kerry Simon's newest restaurant, Carson Kitchen, featuring an open kitchen that replicates the feel of Kerry's loft-style home. Grassroots Juice Bar offers a fresh fruit and vegetable selection in the form of juices, smoothies and soups. O-Face Donuts is making fresh donuts on site and is famous for their cold-pressed iced coffee. And the first office tenant to occupy space, Digital Royalty, designed a casual creative space for their employees. Today I'm joined by architect Craig Palacios from Bunnyfish Studios. He and his business partner Tina are the creative force behind such projects as the Inspire Theatre, the Hydrant Club and Eat Restaurant. And today, of course, we're going to be focusing mostly on this project, the Johnny Carson building. And this building was actually owned and developed by the fund Downtown Project. And Craig, when you started working with Downtown Project, did they give you any specific directives or objectives for this building?
Well, we were pretty fortunate in this one because we were able to work with them from day one on programming the building. So we basically knew what our square footage was and essentially what the end goal was, but we were actually working with them during that creative process. So it's like push and pull. Can we have this many offices? And you can have this many offices, and how about tenant space? So we sort of worked with them through the spatial uses of the project. They had some ideas, but we sort of ferreted that out together. As far as architecturally, in this project and most of our projects, we get a lot of leeway. The one directive that we had in this project was the sign stays and it looks like Johnny Carson when we're done. And we believed in that wholeheartedly, whether that was our direction or not. So that was an easy one, but that was more or less the directive we got.
Now, one of the most popular spaces I know in the building is Kerry Simon's restaurant, Carson Kitchen. Could you share a little bit with us about what it was like to actually work with Kerry?
It was cool. You know, me and my partner are, I don't like to use the word foodies, but we eat a lot. So, you know, it's part of our firm culture. Food is something that we're all into. Everybody sort of has a little bit of a different ethnic background. So food is something that's always been part of our daily work thing and then our entertainment. So it was a real pleasure to meet Chef Kerry Simon. And he was cool. You know, he pulled up in his Porsche and jumped out with this long black hair and his leather jacket and stuff. And he was like, dudes, I'm hungry. And we're like, really? And he's like, yeah, come on, we got to talk over some food. So we went over to Chef Natalie's Eat Restaurant, and he ordered all this stuff. And he's so down to earth that he was literally like sandwich out of his mouth and like, here, you have to try this. You know, so we're like eating at that level of closeness and talking about rock and roll and travel and food. And then, you know, into sort of what he wanted the place to look like. But really, we were given one directive, and it was really simple. He's like, all right, after today, I'm gonna invite you over to my house, and I want the place to feel like you're eating in my kitchen. And so we went over and checked out his loft and had a couple Skype calls where he sort of, you know, panned around. And then he was like, go, do it. And we showed him the first round of images, and he was like, that's it. Just make it happen. And it was that simple. But he's a cool cat, and like, you know, I think we got along really well, you know, with the music and the food and stuff like that, and made it really easy.
Now we're sitting in your space. How did you come to be one of the tenants in the building?
So, you know, our firm has grown a lot over the last couple of years, and we've well outgrown our existing space, which is virtually across the street. So we've been looking and trying to figure that out, and during the process of organizing the space with the client, you know, of course, we wanted to be very conscientious and careful, but it started to make sense. Like, why don't we go there? And we let all the other tenants ferret out their locations and things like this. And this space and the space below us were kind of available. The space below us made a lot more sense to be a retail outlet because it has frontage and things like that. So yeah, we just put it out there. Can we have that space? And they were like, we couldn't imagine a better tenant. So it worked out really good. Everybody was happy. It's huge improvement from where we're at, and can't wait to get in here.
And now most of the spaces are filling up. Who are some of the other tenants that will be moving in the near term?
So Juice Bar just opened downstairs. They're up and running. Yoga Studio, I believe, is just about to have their grand opening. That's going to be a really good asset to the neighborhood and to the building. And then at the other end, we've been working on a sushi restaurant, Asian themed restaurant with Dan and Shauna Coughlin, who have the La Thai restaurant. And it's started out as a single story sushi restaurant, basically just a big sushi bar, and has grown to the second floor. And now we'll have sit-down dining and another bar on the second floor and some karaoke rooms in the back. And then, am I missing anybody? I think that's it. Yeah. All right.
Well, that concludes part one of this episode about the Johnny Carson building and creative space. When we return, we'll be diving a little deeper into the creative office portion of it with our architect here, Craig Palacios. You're watching The Tenant Perspective.